Okay, hi everyone. This is the comms meeting. I have Joel here. I'm not sure if Wink is coming today. Maybe he forgot. Maybe I should send him a quick message. Oh, I know how to do it. I'll do it a different way. So like I did some edits on, just jumping into our section on the Queer Burners directory.
Yeah.
I just did some I just played with some editing on the history section.
Oh, good.
I don't know how much Emily has been involved. Has she been talking to you at all?
I haven't spoken to her since our last meeting.
All right. Well, she's only shown up to one meeting, so I'm not sure she's coming back. I'm going to go ahead and just start diving into the edits myself, but I'll work with Wink. So staying within the guidelines that we're establishing for the voice and for the presentation of the conversation.
Yeah.
You can see in the agenda where I put in some questions that I still want to talk to you both about.
Okay.
Just as far as, establishing policy and what we're doing. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can text him real quick. So I did notice that the edit on, the menu on the bottom looks great, and I love that reference for the image that's on there. I think that's absolutely awesome.
Oh, you mean just thanks to Duncan Rawlinson?
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Are you doing that for all the pictures?
Well, the pictures that I'm using for the rotating banners right now are all his.
Oh, they're beautiful.
And it was just a first grab. They're good, and he allows you to use them for that purpose. So,
okay,
we're fine with that. I was gonna, over time, I was, open to take more pictures and get more contributions from.
I mean, if there's a way to do that easily with people, then yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's and maybe I'm not seeing it, but there's a not genuine, that's not the right word to use. There's a disconnect between people just in the community in general and being kind of conscious of what, something like this project is doing while their lives have, the lives that we have are very complicated and demanding these days.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine myself that I have very little time, but I have to carve it out for the things that I want to do. And I have no social life, so.
We're stuck in,
yeah.
Everybody's stuck at home.
Yeah. And anyway, but whatever makes it easier. I mean, if there's a way to submit it through the website or there's a way to,
yeah, one thing I had in mind, and this is all just sort of, oh, there's Wink.
There he is.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Welcome. One thing I had sort of had in mind over time is if we can get some, I think what's going on right now is even the TCOs are not really that active in terms of organizing their camp.
Yeah.
I know like my mentality is like, I don't want to start doing things until there's enough confidence from the orgs that they're going ahead with the event. And I'm willing to, and I know that means that we'll have to probably stuff into a few months all of the preparations for next year. And I'm sort of willing to live with that in exchange for like, I don't want to go through another.
I mean, you brought up some really good points just in that sentence. I mean, right now is downtime for TCOs. TCOs are like, fuck you. I've thought about this enough for a while. I'm for a moment. I'll wait till January.
I think that's sort of where they're at. Well, once they get more active, one thing I thought would be fun is modify the directory a little bit. Right now it has one picture per camp. And one thing I thought would be fun is just let them upload as many pictures as they want. And they could rotate and have a gallery. And I would only do that if there was anybody willing to put pictures on there, but that could lead to a really, really cool gallery of pictures, from each of the camps. And I think everybody has somewhere like we have a Google Photos from our camp. Everybody has like a few hundred pictures that are awesome, that are just not widely promulgated. Like they're not even up on Facebook. A lot of times people just have them in their personal.
Yeah.
But I sort of, if I could get people to actually contribute to that and do that, I think that would be awesome. And I think that would be a lot of fun, but I don't want to build things that nobody's using.
No, but honestly, I mean, the second part of that statement that you said earlier that was really something to pay attention to was, are they even having a 2021 Burning Man Black Rock City event? And that is a big question in the air right now.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident they will. I don't, and that's not.
Can I tell you, I mean, just the what I'm hearing in the grapevine right now is it's really 50-50.
Yeah.
And there's concern and there's optimism that, there's going to be what's the word I want to use? The
Vaccine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's going to be ready in time.
Yeah.
But I've got somebody kind of nibbling at my ear who says, well, I know this guy on the board who says it's definitely not happening. But when I see like Trippy and Level email or discussions about, hey, let's start laying this groundwork for 2021, it seems to be the opposite message to me. That there is a sense of optimism that it still could happen.
Yeah, I think a part of it is that I think they want, in order to raise money, they're in a fundraising campaign, and I think they kind of want people to think that if they don't donate some money, it might not happen.
That's exactly where I think they're at. They
And I
don't
think-
know, but they have to put a positive face on it if they want people to be engaged enough to give money. So
yeah, and then
But
I think
also wanna-
actually they can make it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, given that, I think they can make it happen, even if they don't raise as much money as they want. They will find a way to make it happen.
But I mean, given that too, I want to kind of keep the idea that, this has been a message since when Larry was around, is that the future is in the regionals.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that also gives us a chance to pivot and participate in that directly as well. I mean, I think that's, in our future, no matter what.
What do you think? I mean, when I looked at the regionals that are around, there's not a big gay presence at any of the regionals.
No.
A couple of the bigger ones have, one gay camp or something like that. But they tend to just be small and also not that easy to get into, right? Because they're often, it's like the regional for a particular region may have 750 tickets, and they give them all to the locals of wherever they're from. There is sort of no. So it like the regionals don't have the capacity to replace the 70,000 people. They don't have. There's not 70,000 tickets available to regionals.
Well, I mean, there's like a billion regionals out there, and official and unofficial. So
yeah.
There's channels that are open, and somebody has presented an idea for us as a possible way of participating in the future that I don't think is the right time to discuss. It's more for the entity group, the board. But I mean, there's channels that are available, and I want to keep that optimism alive as we communicate with the community. That even though Black Rock City might be going away, that we're still here to stay, and we are capable of be a participant in something that already exists and creating channels that don't already exist. So
yeah, I think honestly, even if Black Rock City happens next year and is not under threat, it also doesn't really have the capacity to expand as much as people want. That was always a problem, is there's not enough. You could probably sell 120,000 tickets to the Black Rock City event, and so the regionals have to expand. There has to just be some outlet there for growth outside of the main event, whatever that may be. And I think that is definitely within our remit.
I'm gonna pull back just a little bit and when, as you came in, we kind of just jumped into the second half of the agenda on Joel's stuff, to talk about the website and just some stuff there. One of the things I noticed, Joel, when I was on there today is when you go to the link that says Camp Directory and it loads, the first page, it's
Yeah.
2019 directory, but it doesn't say 2019 on it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Is there either a way to just get it to the most, how do we approach that? I mean, do we put it to, here's the list of the different directories we have? and go
Well,
to those?
yeah. So my theory there, and again, this is just interim because it's gonna, even the way it's written right now, if I were to die, what would happen is on January 1st, it would start showing you the 2021
Oh,
Camp Directory by default instead of 2019. And so
Well, I mean,
I've got it
right
doing
now
that
it
just because
doesn't
that's got the
default to
most.
2020. But right now it doesn't default to 2020. So should it?
Right. I made an exception because there's nothing on 2020.
I
So
did put a
essentially-
post out today asking camps who participated in 2020, because there were a few that
Yeah,
were,
there were a few things. There were things.
to please post on your camp on that.
Yeah, I don't know where does submit go. Submit goes right now. The submit form will put you in 2021.
You can't choose the year.
No, but I can manually move them afterwards or copy them.
That's actually a really good point, I think.
So here was my assumption is that let's just forget COVID for a moment. The normal state of things is that anybody looking at this site between January and August is interested in the upcoming Burning Man, and anybody looking at it in September, October is probably interested in the past Burning Man and hasn't yet started preparing. So my theory was January 1st, flip over when nobody's looking. And that's when we do sort of the call for the camps to start to, update their data and move them or copy it into the current year.
I really like that. That's actually really well thought out. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that theory is just the default. And it's just because I didn't want people to come and click on, who are the camps at Burning Man. Like this is the right list, right? Everybody who showed up in 2019, that's the best list we have.
Yeah.
Of what the real population is.
I really like that. I appreciate that a lot. But so can I have people submit for 2020 or should I close the door?
Yeah, well, if they want to, I mean, what happened in 2020, I think is really, I'm trying to think of like Celestial Bodies had VR presence.
Celestial Bodies was there. Comfort and Joy did a presentation. They did a video series. Gender Blender did a whole presentation, but I can't think of the other people that did.
Yeah, and some of these, like I mean, my sense is we just like I don't know if that's even worth having. Well, I wonder if there's sort of an idea of like permanent, not camp directories, but just sort of permanent. Some of these organizations that are camps, but they also have so many other activities. They have parties in San Francisco and they go to Mardi Gras in Sydney and they just got stuff going all the time. I think some of them may want, kind of more of a permanent representation. It's almost not like this is their camp.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, because there's a lot of camps, Mystopia, Boz, and other groups that do regular events.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting, well, what about just a link? I mean, they have the link to their page. Or just you have to make a notation to say, check out our other events?
I don't, I mean, I would just ask people what they want, sort of. I mean, again, like I really do feel like the two most important use cases of this are going to be people that want to know, who are the camps that are really showing up, and that's our 2019 list. And starting in January, they're going to want to know who's coming in 2021. The 2020, we can fill that in, and I don't know what's in there right now. I think I put the Future Turtles in there as like a placeholder. But if anybody wants to submit the 2021 to 2020, that's fine. When they go through the submit process, that will drop them in 2021. And just let me know and I'll copy them over to 2020 if that was the intent, because it's easy for me to change that in the database in 1 second just for this
All right.
rare
I
case.
just so, because we haven't really, I didn't realize that of these extra steps, and I probably should have talked to you before I even put the post out.
Oh,
I just deleted the post and I'll revisit it.
oh, that's okay. But I can fix anything. So
Okay.
nothing's permanent.
Just dipping. Oops, gosh, I have way too many windows open on this stupid computer. So just jumping back into this part of the conversation. Looking at the overall flow, I put just a quick Visio splatter.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yep.
This is the direction we're going with this, right? This kind of thing.
Yeah. Career station, history, camp directories, going to Burning Man, FAQ, privacy policy. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the last one, Scott? It's-
I think it's contact. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was, and I think I brought it up last, but I wasn't keeping, I didn't keep my notes very well from last time we talked. Is I kind of would like to see something just a little more visual in the, and except for the camp directory page. I think I'd like to see like some kind of sidebar where we do have pictures or information or social media feed or something like that over there.
Mm-hmm. On the homepage, the greeter station, or
well, I mean, if it carries
once
through, except for on the camp directory, 'cause I don't think there's room for it on the camp directory. What are your guys' feelings on that? Because I know Wink, you're you have a lot of insight into this stuff, and I think it's really important that we hear.
One thing personally I like is to have a static aspect to the page. So right now, when I go to the greeter station in the directory, there's the bar at the top with login and career burners. And my preference is for that not to scroll away as I move down, so that if at any point I want to jump around, I don't have to scroll back up to find out where to go. And for me, just mentally, it helps me navigate, like, especially like if when I click, so when I click directory, it highlights. So it's just sort of once I'm scrolling down into it, if that is static at the top, it's just a reminder visually, like, oh, I am in the directory still,
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a thought. I'm, again, in sort of the keep it simple mindset, I would probably be disinclined to create what I mean, the monster that Facebook has become now, is because they're trying to do so many things in, have it all there on one page. And I just think there's not that much content here. And I think if the directory is static at the top, people will, be able to figure out how to get around. And if somebody's looking at this on their phone, which is sort of like becoming the dominant sort of like way to look at things, then I think keeping it tight and sort of lean is maybe better than trying to, as long as you can get to all those parts, I think that's important. I think trying to put a lot of things together on one page is maybe too busy. That would be my.
And this is following up on the conversation about the the column on the side. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Like, having, because that works on a desktop, doesn't work well mobile. And I think as a volunteer group, trying to keep things simple means it's easier to maintain and, keep it up to date.
Yeah.
So, and I just think, I like the way the directory works on my desktop. I love that it just takes the whole page and I get to see it all. I'm not, and in some ways it sort of like makes it different from other social media things like Facebook, that it's simple. I'm just seeing what I want to see. And as long as I have easy access to all the parts, and there aren't that many parts, then I feel we don't need to put it all in front of you at one time.
Actually, I really like that feedback, and I think I'm on board with that. I definitely, that definitely helps settle
Uh-huh.
the question in my mind. I did notice that the menu on the bottom is completely different than the menu on the top.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is the menu on the top, I just haven't revisited since the beginning. But I think what we would want to do is make sure at least history, going to Burning Man, and maybe FAQ, and what else was there? Greeter Station is really just a homepage. And then if we have all of us, sort of what we could do is put another pull down menu at the top that's sort of like, I don't know what we call it, content or read stuff or history. I don't know. I'll figure out something so that there's a direct link from the top to the pages that we want people to read.
Okay.
But I think sort of if you come in the homepage, there's a wall of text and you read it, and the links are blue. So you click on them if they're interesting, or you don't if you're not. And if you get all the way to the bottom, then we got some more blue links that are the things that we most want you to read. If you've made it all the way to the bottom and you're kind of like running out of things to do, then we got history, going to Burning Man, FAQ. So, and then there's, I think privacy policy is really just like legal, whatever, and so forth. But I'll put another, I'll try putting another menu at the top with direct links to, the history pages and anything else that comes up, and we can always sort of add and remove things there when we want to add and remove major pages that we want people to read, so that they're all there. And then I'll make it so that black bar at the top does not scroll away.
Okay. So, but you said something about a drop-down menu. Can we just keep this menu clean like it is on the bottom, up on the top?
Yeah, if we have enough room. I think that the truth is directory, we don't need submit there anymore, honestly. That was, submit on the top was just there from when.
Wait a minute,
that should be.
I think I'm on a different page than you are. So I'm talking about on the bottom, like I'm on the Greeter Station now, right?
Yeah.
The menu at the bottom, history, going to Burning Man, FAQ, privacy policy.
I would take at least history and going to Burning Man. I would move those to the top or add them to the top. Those two pages.
Oh, I see what you mean. The other ones are more, I got you. Okay.
Like FAQ, we don't need privacy policy. Nobody has to read that. And then at the top, to make more room for those things, I can get rid of the submit link at the top, because that's really a feature of the directory. That's not a feature of the whole site.
So
sorry, I was on a different page than you were a little bit, but I'm also looking at the the phone version. It looks really clean. It's really nice.
Yeah, it would solve. I mean, that's one of the nice things is that, the individual camp things fit in the phone. And if our articles are just, just plain text and then picture and then text and picture, it'll scroll nicely and it'll work nicely on a phone.
Well, it's a beautiful job on this, and I really appreciate what you've done.
So if the Visio diagram, which can develop, I would think that would be the direction that the directory button should take. And So looking at that, within the paradigm of most websites, About Us is in Greeter Station, or where would that, if somebody's come to this and like, who is queer, what is Queer Burners? Where's that question answered?
There's so there's a part where we have to include the section about the 501c3.
Right.
Would
But
that
I'm
answer
gonna
that
say-
question?
I'm going to say wherever about us as a category that's common to most or to many websites, I would use that, and that seems like it's Greeter Station. About
Yeah.
Us is Greeter Station. That then I would, below Greeter Station in the diagramming of it, I would say we would have the 501c3 and other, those things that could fall under a category of About Us. And then they don't have to be at the top of the directory.
Yeah, so I think
Oh,
unlike,
oh,
I mean,
I'm
a lot of
just
sites
catching
have About Us because they're trying to explain who they are separately from what they're trying to sell you.
Right,
And so the main homepage is, let me sell you a thing.
Right.
As the way we're organized, the homepage is also is About Us. It's sort of like, hey, boom, this is who we are and this is what we do. And we can just put any wording there we want, but that's why we don't have an additional About Us page, although we should definitely add to the editorial on Greeter Station.
Right. So I wasn't suggesting that there would be another page. I'm just saying,
Right.
as a common framework for websites, like About Us could be our
Is a pretty
Greeter
common
Station.
thing.
Well, it's our Greeter
Yeah.
Station page, and that then as a sub page to that can be the privacy policy, the 501c3. Contact makes sense to keep up high. FAQ up high. So I think if the policy and the privacy policy and 501c3 moved into drop downs from Greeter Station, then that would seem like a place to put them that would be fairly logical.
Okay. I'll be able to do that this week. I'll put some of that together and I'll see what happens if I don't move the thing. If I don't move the thing, I will anchor the menu bar
Okay.
to the top, and we'll see what that looks like.
It might also be that it be pink, so that it, rather than
That's good.
just again to sort of set it apart.
You like thinking of a whole pink background, black.
Or just that the bar that's dark right now,
Yeah.
the dark gray or black, that could be pink, and that would be a constant
Okay.
To the whole site,
Easy. I think that's easy. All right, I gotta write some notes down.
Now, can I just clarify? So under Greeter Station stays at the top, but the About Us, the 501c3 and privacy policy stays at the bottom. Is that right?
I think I would suggest that if the directory thing should be, if they're going to be at the top consistently at the top, that I wouldn't, what do we have at the bottom on the?
Well, I like the bottom is a catch-all of two things. One is links that we have to have, like privacy policy, that we don't care about. And the other is a catch-all of more things to read if you made it to the bottom of the page.
And because what I'm seeing at the bottom of queerburners.com, I'm on Firefox right now.
Oh, well, I'm looking at directory, but yeah.
Oh, you're on the directory.
Yeah.
Okay. That explains it. I mean, I don't know if there's they could be a top and bottom. I don't,
I mean, I definitely understand that there's a certain level like Joel was saying, that should be at the top, like the greeter station, like the history, going to Burning Man and stuff like that, while more detailed things like the FAQ, the privacy policy, the 501c3, and the contact us is more better at the bottom, and
Mhm.
just because it's kind of the second level of, like if I wanted to find a contact page for most websites, I'm gonna just scroll to the bottom, or
Uh-huh. But that's business. That's the business. So
Right,
the
okay.
bottom. Yeah.
so we're all on the same page on that then.
Yeah, okay, so basically, I'm gonna put this under action items, which is that the top navigation bar will include.
And then I think your recommendations too, Wink. Did you still want that bar up top pink?
Well, here's additional thoughts now looking at, because now I had been on the old homepage. So looking at this as a format, if so, the queer burners, so looking at the top dark bar right now, there's queer burners, which makes sense that that's a constant there. Then I guess if I click on that, that's going to take me consistently back to Greeter Station.
Yeah,
Okay. I think because we're using both, I would probably have Greeter Station as a directory item as well. So it's Queer Burners is the first one. And then in the way directory is in a smaller typeface, to start with Greeter Station. Again, we know that Queer Burners is taking you back to Greeter Station, but if, that may not always be clear. And especially because we're using Greeter Station as a home page, but the name of it is in a burner paradigm. So I just think to make it more clear, I think having a Queer Burners button and a Greeter Station button that both take you to Greeter Station makes sense for someone who doesn't understand,
well, what I was thinking, one thing we could do is instead of styling the word Greeter Station as a headline, actually sort of style it either with a photograph of a greeter station. So the idea would be, this is our homepage, and it's got this greeter station theme because that's how you greet people in Black Rock City, but it's still the homepage. So nobody's sitting there saying, am I reading the article called Greeter Station? Or am I on the homepage? That's sort of like, it needs a little bit more explanation there. I wouldn't want to put two links on the top to go to the same page, because then somebody's just clicking back and forth and saying it didn't navigate. Or are there supposed to be two different things, and do I have to read them both?
So then, I guess, can you? I agree. Having two buttons go to the same place can be confusing too. But maybe Queer Burners just is up there just as a it doesn't click. It's not a button.
Non-clickable.
A non-clickable. It's just there. You figure it out pretty quick, and that only the directory buttons.
Can I disagree with that? Because I think they're like, and just on any website you go to, if you're clicking on the name of the page, it's going to take you to the beginning.
Right.
That's been my experience.
It's pretty common. Yeah. Whether it's
navigation.
I mean, I think what we should do is just go back to saying, hey, we have the right content here. We want to introduce the concept of this being a greeter station, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the name of the page that you're on is Greeter Station. This is where we greet you. And it could even be done by saying, instead of saying, interested in Queer Burning Man, you come to the right place, we could even say, when you get to Black Rock City, the first thing you see is the Greeter Station. This is your Greeter Station for Queer Burners in the little picture. So that essentially we're bringing that concept in for people that know it and don't know it. And it's still just all serving the same purpose. It's the homepage. It's where we greet you.
Mhm.
I mean, it sounds like we're overthinking this a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, just if it's just the homepage and it's just Greeter Station, I mean, I honestly think that's good enough.
Okay.
Let me do a draft. I'll move some stuff from the top to the bottom. I'll figure out what I think should go on the top. I'll send you all a note and you can tell me what,
But I
what
really
is the
think
most
that
jarring.
I really think that the rotating images, just being consistent on that, is the good idea to stick with. I don't think we have to put on a picture of a Greeter Station.
Oh, I was going to stick that like as a small,
Okay.
like a small feature like inside the text, not necessarily the banner.
An extra image of what you're talking
Yeah, like an extra image in the wall of text that we have there. The only reason I didn't do it before is I couldn't find a good picture of the Greeter Station. But one of the nice things about the Greeter Stations is that they're all different colors. So it's sort of they almost make a rainbow flag of themselves. It has a sort of a queer reading if you get a good enough picture.
Can when we talk about, like, when we looked at the Visio quickie thing I threw together, I mean, I think we're in a good place as far as navigation right now, right?
Yeah, we can stop talking about it, certainly.
No, because I want to tackle one other question that I think when we talked last time, we agreed that the favicon would be one thing, but it's different than what we talked about. But I still like it. But I just
we're supposed to change that to a queue.
What's that?
We're supposed to change it to a queue. That's what we did last time.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to stay with that?
Yeah, I just didn't do it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the queue makes the most sense, reinforcing, because it takes a long time for people to understand logos without the text. So
yeah, I got you. I just wanted to bring that up just because I wasn't sure if we missed a beat in something. Oops.
Oh, and also, Wink, you were going to send me a version of the logo with the Q hollowed out.
Yeah, I need to do some more Illustrator tutorials. I was trying.
Okay.
The white in the middle of the Q is a layer that's on top of everything, and I just need to figure out how to make it alpha channel. So
got it.
Well, actually, it's two things. It's the border and I have to sort out the layers and alpha channels, which was sort of like approaching the limits of my current Illustrator abilities. So.
I'm impressed that you got anything to work in Illustrator.
Well, it started in AutoCAD.
Oh, okay. That's respectable.
Well, that's old school. So that's where
I can do anything in Fusion 360. Or what's a KiCad? I use KiCad for electrical engineering diagrams. So I'm real good at that.
All right. So that's an action item for Wink to.
Yes.
Oops. Control C.
I think having the transparent center to the Q will help engage it more in the image.
Yeah.
And create a depth there that
Okay.
Did we, I know we talked about whether we say focus group or the presentation of all of this, not all of us, but the website and the logo. I know we talked about that, but I'm trying to remember where we left how we presented to a larger audience.
What do you mean? Okay, so.
Well, we've sort of adopted all of these things, and I think the directory is out there. I guess there hasn't really been any feedback about it. The logo's new, but just,
We haven't made a presentation to the public yet, if that's what you mean.
Okay,
I mean, we're hoping to do that, I think, before the end of November
okay,
to make any fine tuning. I have a feeling we're probably not going to hear a lot from people. You know, for the same reasons we talked about, you know, when we first started talking, is that, you know, people are just not in touch.
mhm,
There's going to be some people that are paying attention and will give us feedback, but I mean, we'll see.
uh-huh.
Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I know we had some discussion, and but that's a fine path. So,
Well, right now, my biggest things for me personally is still got all that 501c3 documentation that needs to be finished. You know, and that includes some of the things I wanted to talk about today in this. Just going back to that list that you gave us last week, Wink. I put a couple questions in here because I just wanted to refine this suggestion list that you gave me before I copy and paste it into the document. So are we going with the we voice moving forward?
I think that's the most inclusive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I like what you did with the queer burners, but the lowercase b. Is that something we're going to keep going with as a going forward on all written communications?
And just as a question, because that's the way I did it in the logo, so that the Q stood out as the unique character.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes when I'm writing things, even within camp, or like, I go back and forth, like whether I refer to burners as capital burners or lowercase burners. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what others see. And actually,
One of the there is a sense in which we're trying to say queer burners the organization, as opposed to people who are queer and are burners. And I feel like if you have a lowercase b, a capital Q and a lowercase b, people write off the capital Q as saying, well, that must belong to queer. They forget that you're referring to the organization, not the type of burner, not the group of burners. And that can sort of lead to people saying, well, you don't speak for me, or being confused as to whether we're speaking for everybody in some way. So to me, it reads better in the sentence, for example, queer burners started its mission in 2008 to create a means for ... In that context, it really feels like it needs to be capital Q, capital B.
I feel the same way, actually. I just was like, I didn't want to be the one that, you know,
yeah,
I don't want to get hung up on what I did in the past to hamper what's going on in the future.
It doesn't, I think actually, by the way, that doesn't mean the logo has to have a capital B
Correct.
necessarily. Like it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be 100% consistent.
and the question is really just to create the style, like this style guide, like how do we do it consistently? So I'm not married to either. And so it was just it's a question. So I think if it's capital Q, capital B consistently, then, but the logo is unique then with the lowercase, if we're okay with that. But I think we'll have to be flexible too, because then other people may use lowercase b because that's the way the logo is, but you know.
Yeah, you know what they'll do, as if my company Stack Overflow has a space in between Stack and Overflow, and people are so used to tech companies being all mashed together as one word that we're now on the 12th year of fighting people who try to write it as one word. And just, but it's just, I mean, I would say when referring to the organization specifically, and if you want to emphasize this is the organization, the 501c, the group of people that meet, that's got to be capital Q, capital B. If you want to refer collectively to people who are queer at Burning Man, probably would not capitalize burners in that case. You know, if you want to say something like queer burners are a fierce and independent bunch, then you wouldn't, and that would be the distinction, I think.
Mhm.
Well, maybe we need to just say like so it's not confusing. So anytime referring to, queer burners as together in our writing, that it's always capital Q, capital B, but our logo remains the same with the lowercase b. Or is that confusing?
Well, I think if we make the distinction that the organization is capital Q, capital B, but the members are capital Q, lowercase
Lowercase
b,
b. Yeah.
that would be one way to sort of, and that the logo is really the sort of members, even though it's
Yeah.
on the organization site, it's not that high level. It's the membership that we're sort of presenting.
Okay, so when we talk about our members, we do the capital Q, lowercase b.
Yeah. Or people that refuse to join our organization because they're against organizations, but they are queer and they're burners.
All right, and then unless you guys have any questions about any of the other items here, I'm just dropping down. Okay, so we just answered this question. We have also answered all these questions. Okay. Oh, policies on nudity and images. We need a written policy for that, I think.
Oh, do we? We couldn't, you mean like something we stick in the FAQ or?
Well, just for the organization itself, we're going to need a policy, but it should also apply to the website, so they'll carry over.
Yeah.
Because I think if photos are pulled, just so people know what the threshold is.
Yeah.
Are you talking about nudity, or are you talking about?
I mean, well, I guess it would be nudity / anything that was deemed unacceptable, that, which we don't know what it might be right now, but if there was something that was deemed offensive, does that image get, what happens to that image?
Well, I mean, it seems like nudity, in my opinion, is not a problem, but sexual activity is.
Well, you have to, we could also just say that we have to follow the law of COPA or whatever.
Okay.
It just requires that we either have to confirm that people are adults by getting a credit card number or something to use our website, or the website policy has to be whatever the COPA law requires.
Is that an opt-in then, or like?
A lot of research could be done on this.
Okay, yeah, that's.
My belief is unless you take active measures to keep people under the age of 13 from visiting your website, then it has to be, family friendly. You can make an adult only website, but
well, nudity is not considered adult content, is it? I mean,
well, but I think that's where you get into the.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm asking all the questions I can think of.
This is a question for a lawyer, an internet lawyer of some sort. Well, essentially what I'm saying is that we don't really have to, oh, here we are. COPA required material harmful, material, it was defined material to contemporary community standards, sexual acts or nudity, including female breasts, were not allowed. I think, here's the thing, I don't think we don't have to get into a policy, because all we're doing is saying that this website is available to people who are under the age of 13, and therefore we conform with the law as to whatever, and we can, when you submit a picture, then we'll look up the law.
No. That in itself is a policy statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can work with that.
Yeah, I think our policy is just to say, well, I guess we're not. Now, the truth is we're not a commercial distributor, so being non-commercial helps a lot.
And this was the COPA thing you looked up?
Yeah, Child Online Protection Act.
Okay, I'll do more research on that and follow up.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to add to this, or?
No, I got to run to another meeting, but Yeah, I haven't heard from Emily, and I was hoping she would do some editing of some of the content, but
Well,
if,
I want to kind of talk about that just for a quick second here. It's like, I'm not, there's like, one of my things is like, unless you're present, I'm assuming you're not there.
okay, yeah,
You know what I mean? So I've got a lot of writing to do for the entity stuff still, but I'm willing to take this on too. And I'm willing to collaborate with anyone who wants to, or I can just create it into a document that's not necessarily published on the web. So we can just thing and pushing information around.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, either way, I mean, you both have, everybody has edit permission, so if anybody edits, then it'll get better.
and Scott, I mean, if you've got all, recognizing you have a lot to do with the entity, I'm happy to take on more just editing. So it just, I guess,
Just trying to keep the, like, I'm trying to be mindful of the rules that we're creating for the words that are there. The history section seems to be a little bit different than the rest of the site, is that it's almost kind of like a first person account of what's going on. I added 2020 and 2021
Oh, cool.
to the story, and tried to correct a few things from over time. But I really think it needs most of it needs a revamp. And it needs,
I can do that. So
yeah, it needs a less, there's times when I wrote it where my point of view, I feel is kind of prejudiced, and it unfortunately comes across, and that needs to come out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But I want the real story there too. I want,
Yeah.
The bumps, the bruises, and the shiny parts.
Yep.
Okay.
I got to run. I'm late for another.
Okay. Thank you, Joel.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Are you okay with keeping going, Wink, for a little bit?
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page because we seem to be generally on the same page anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to direct on how things should go. I want it to flow, and I want it to be clean, and I don't want it all just to be my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a chance you can attend the entity meeting on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Let's see. Remind me.
7:30 p.m.
Yeah, I can do that.
I think you're on the invitation anyways.
Uh-huh.
I want to start talking about an election of officers for the board. And I still have to write job descriptions for those. I don't know where my voice is going right now.
Too much smoke. So
yeah. How are you feeling? You good on all this stuff?
Yeah.
All right. And I mean, are you feeling overwhelmed? I'm not asking too much or anything like that.
No, I think the how to describe current events are the aspect that are causing me to feel overwhelmed. So like tasks like this normally would be like not registered, but just the level of anxiety is, the base level of anxiety is in at a high level. So that's just sort of trying to like remember to breathe and avoid media to the extent that it's possible, but being a addict for news and social media is sort of a challenging time. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
One of the things I did to try and cope with all this stuff is I've given up almost all coffee. I have 1 cup a day. And I've eliminated sugar out of my diet too. And it's made a big difference in just my ability to handle a lot of things. So
I guess I would start with sugar.
Yeah.
For me, personally, I don't know that as much as I have a sweet tooth, I don't know if I want to I do enjoy a coffee buzz. So yeah.
I turned into kind of a bitch with too much coffee, so a better thing that I'm less.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yep. Apologies. I was sitting at my computer, editing photographs. It's like, oh, this is gonna be a nice day. Completely blanked. So
That's all good. It's all good. It
Okay.
happens. Yeah, I've done it too, even though I'm running some of these meetings. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. All right, sir. Thank you.
okay. Bye.
Bye. I'm gonna